Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we equip you with knowledge that genuinely makes a difference.
Today, we're diving headfirst into something really vital in, well, pretty much every sphere of life.
That's right. The art of developing influence and persuasion.
hmm Whether you're steering a project, maybe negotiating a critical agreement, or even championing a cause close to your heart.
Yeah, the ability to effectively guide and inspire others well, it's absolutely paramount.
Couldn't agree more.
So, our mission in this deep dive is simple. Give you a concentrated, actionable understanding of these essential leadership skills.
And we're digging into George Bickerstaff's developing influence and persuasion. He's got such a wealth of experience.
He really does. Global leader in healthcare, tech, finance, numerous board roles, founding member of the Global Leaders.
Yeah, he speaks from decades of real-world, high-stakes experience. So the insights are practical, not just theoretical.
Definitely. And right off the bat, let's clarify what influence and persuasion are not, because I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up.
Exactly. Bickerstaff really emphasizes these aren't about manipulation or strong-arming people or just, winning an argument for the sake of it.
Right. It's not about control.
Not at all. He frames them as being fundamentally built on trust, on really clear communication, and, crucially, aligning with others' needs and values.
Which ultimately inspires action people actually want to take.
Precisely. It's a much more sophisticated and, frankly, ethical approach than the sort of negative connotations these words sometimes have.
That reframing is so key. It reminds me of that Simon Sinek quote.
Oh, the one about leadership.
Yeah, leadership is not about being in charge. It is about taking care of those in your charge.
That fits perfectly here. It anchors that ethical foundation Bickerstaff insists on. True influence isn't just wielding power, it's leading with integrity.
Exactly. So by the end of this deep dive, our promise to you is this. You'll have a clear, actionable understanding of what truly makes someone influential.
And how to persuade ethically. We want to give you insights you can actually apply, maybe even starting tomorrow.
Okay, let's jump in then. Bickerstaff immediately tackles this common idea that influence is just about your job title. He says it's much deeper. What's his core definition?
So he defines influence as your inherent ability to shape opinions, behaviors, and outcomes. But the key distinction he makes is from authority.
Okay.
Authority, that's tied to your position on the org chart, right? Influence, Bickerstaff argues, stems from your credibility, the strength of your relationship.
And how well you communicate.
Exactly. You can lead without a formal title if people genuinely believe in you, if they trust your judgment.
So it's less about the title on the door and more about the belief you inspire in people.
Yes. He puts it nicely. It's not about getting people to do what you want, but helping them want what you want. That taps into internal motivation, not just external compliance.
That's a powerful shift. So how do we cultivate that belief, according to Bickerstaff?
Well, it comes down to how people perceive your character and your competence. And it's not an overnight thing.
Right, it takes time.
Definitely. It grows steadily. Through consistency in your actions, showing respect, and something we often undervalue, active listening, really hearing people.
So influential leaders are good at building coalitions, getting buy-in.
Yes, and bringing people along with a shared vision, not by force. He actually calls influence one of the most valuable currencies in leadership today.
Because it lets you achieve things even without direct command.
Precisely.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense for influence. It's this long game. Where does persuasion fit in then? How does he distinguish that?
Right. Persuasion is maybe more tactical. Bickerstaff defines it as the skill of guiding others towards a specific decision or action.
Okay, more targeted.
Yeah. And often by appealing to their logic or their values or their emotions. But here's the thing he stresses. It's a learned ability. It's not some innate gift of charisma.
So you can actually get better at it. It's a skill.
Absolutely. It's about being strategic, but grounded in empathy.
Meaning you have to understand the other person first?
Deeply. You need to genuinely grasp what matters to them and then align your message with that understanding. It's not just the content, Bickerstaff notes.
What else matters?
Timing is crucial, your tone, and underlying everything, the trust you've already built. Get it right, persuasion leads to progress. Get it wrong.
It slides into manipulation.
Exactly. Ethical persuasion respects people's autonomy. It offers compelling reasons, but doesn't coerce.
Okay, let's move to what Bickerstaff calls the foundational pillars, the things that hold all this up.
Yeah.
And the first one feels huge. Trust.
Oh, absolutely. He's very direct about this. His line is, influence without trust is short-lived.
And says it all, really.
It does. People are just far more likely to listen, to follow, to partner with someone they believe has integrity, someone with good intentions. It's the baseline.
So how do we build it? What does he recommend?
He points to three key things: active listening, really being present; transparency, being open and honest in your dealings; and follow through, consistently doing what you say you'll do.
When your words match your actions consistently.
You earn the right to persuade. Trust is earned.
And I imagine that trust becomes even more critical when things get tough, like during a crisis or big change.
He definitely talks about that. In low trust situations, he highlights the role of emotional intelligence, but specifically mentions calibrating your vulnerability.
Vulnerability, that seems counterintuitive in a crisis.
Maybe, but think about it. Leaders who acknowledge the uncertainty, who show empathy, who communicate clearly even when they don't have all the answers, they're far more persuasive.
Then someone just pushing an agenda, trying to look strong.
Exactly. They connect on a human level. They don't just talk at people, they connect with them.
That's a really interesting layer. Okay, so trust is the foundation, but how do you actually convey complex ideas or inspire action effectively? Bickerstaff argues facts alone aren't enough.
Right. That brings us to the next pillar, storytelling. His mantra is powerful. Facts inform, stories move.
Like that.
It's true, isn't it? Great persuaders instinctively use narrative. They bring ideas to life, create an emotional connection that raw data just can't.
It's like inviting people on a journey with you.
Precisely. Whether you're pitching investors or rallying your team, stories create alignment. They make the audience feel like part of the solution.
So the best stories highlight a challenge, show a path forward.
And make people feel invested in the outcome. It turns abstract concepts into tangible human experiences. That's where real transformation often starts, like sharing a personal story of overcoming a similar challenge.
It makes it relatable. Okay, so stories connect, but how we tell the story or even frame the basic issue can change everything. This leads to Bickerstaff on framing and reframing.
Yeah, this is fascinating. How you frame an issue can honestly be more powerful than the issue itself. People react differently depending on how information is presented.
Like loss versus gain, or threat versus opportunity.
Exactly. Or problem versus potential. A leader skilled in influence knows how to reframe things. They can take an objection and turn it into a possibility.
Because they understand the audience's mindset.
Right. And they adjust accordingly. Instead of saying, we have to cut costs, maybe it's, this is our chance to innovate and become more efficient.
That feels completely different, more empowering.
It really does. Framing creates focus. And Bickerstaff argues that focus shapes action. It channels energy. He often gives examples like reframing a budget cut not as a threat, but as that prompt to innovate. Changes the whole vibe.
And tying all these pillars together is emotional intelligence. We've touched on it, but let's dig into its role in persuasion specifically.
Yeah, EQ, self-awareness, empathy, self-regulation, Bickerstaff sees it as absolutely essential. It's not just about knowing how you feel or guessing how others feel.
A bit more active than that.
Yes. It's about understanding how others feel and how they're likely to respond. That allows you to tailor your approach, to navigate potential resistance, to build rapport.
So you're not just delivering a message, you're kind of shaping the experience of receiving it.
That's a great way to put it. Persuasive leaders manage their own emotions, sure, but they're also keenly tuned into others.
Picking up on the nonverbal stuff.
Exactly. The unspoken cues, the slight frown, the crossed arms, maybe a shift in tone, and they adjust based on that feedback.
Because when people feel seen and heard,
they're much more open to new ideas. That connection is where influence really blossoms. Respect is key.
Okay, this is all great, but what about situations where you don't have the formal title? Leading projects, influencing peers. Bickerstaff addresses influencing without authority, right?
He does, and it's so relevant for many of us. He argues that in those cases, influence comes from your relationships, your reputation, and your relevance. Are you seen as helpful, knowledgeable, reliable?
So peer influence is critical in places like matrix organizations or partnerships.
Hugely critical. You can't just tell people what to do. You have to earn their cooperation. I remember him mentioning a product manager.
Ah, yeah, the tech example.
Right. No direct authority over engineering, but got features prioritized because they became the go-to trusted resource for customer insights and data. They made themselves invaluable.
That makes sense. Be a resource, not just someone asking for things.
Exactly. Share your knowledge, recognize others' contributions, be reliable. His bottom line is simple. People follow those who help them succeed.
Okay, now let's bring this into our world today. The digital age. Emails, Zoom, Slack. How does influence work there? It feels harder.
It definitely adds complexity. Tone is notoriously hard to read digitally. Building trust without physical presence is a challenge. And attention spans. Well, we know about those.
So what's the key, according to Bickerstaff?
Adaptability. He talks about needing clarity and brevity more than ever, using visual storytelling, thoughtful engagement, not just broadcasting, and maintaining an authentic voice.
Asynchronous authenticity you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, showing up consistently as yourself even when it's not a live interaction. He says presence isn't just physical anymore, it's digital too. Your emails, your posts, they all contribute to your perceived presence and credibility.
So the tools are different, but the core principles remain.
Absolutely. Clarity, credibility, connection, they're still the bedrock, whether it's face-to-face or screen-to-screen, maybe even more crucial online because you have fewer cues to rely on.
Which brings us back around to something woven throughout Bickerstaff's work. The ethical side of this, the ethical imperative, because influence can be misused.
A really important point. Not all influence is created equal or good. Bickerstaff is clear. Leaders have a responsibility to use their influence for positive, inclusive, transparent outcomes.
And a clear warning against manipulation.
Absolutely. Avoid using persuasion to manipulate, intimidate, or exploit. Build influence through honesty and a shared purpose, not through fear or empty flattery.
Because ethical influence builds accountability, not just control.
Exactly. When people trust your motives, they don't just follow. They become advocates. They champion the cause alongside you. That creates a much healthier, more sustainable culture.
So how do we actively grow this kind of ethical influence? Bickerstaff presents as a continuous journey, right?
Very much so. It's not a destination you arrive at. Influence isn't something you have, it's something you constantly build.
Where does he suggest starting?
With self-awareness. Ask yourself, what do people tend to come to me for? How do I typically show up in important conversations or decisions? What impact am I having?
And beyond looking inward, practical steps.
Seek feedback, especially from people who might see things differently than you do. Observe and learn from communicators you admire. And actively practice empathy and curiosity in every interaction.
And remember his point about speed.
Right. Influence grows at the speed of trust and with the consistency of character. It's a long game, requires patience and integrity.
To make this really concrete, Bickerstaff points to some examples, like Barack Obama.
Yeah, known for that clarity, the calm presence, and just incredible storytelling that moved so many people.
Or Oprah Winfrey.
A masterclass in empathy, building vision, and creating this deep, unwavering trust with her audience. That connection felt incredibly personal to millions.
Simon Sinek, too, who really distills complex ideas about purpose.
Making them simple, compelling, sparking global conversations about why organizations exist.
And maybe someone like Warren Buffett.
Absolutely. Built on legendary trust and credibility, his communication is famously clear, often witty, and influences global markets partly because people trust him. All different styles, but embodying those core principles.
Okay, let's consolidate this. Bickerstaff's top 5 takeaways for you, the listener. First.
Influence is rooted in trust, not authority. Inspire motivation, don't just demand compliance.
Static.
Persuasion works best when it aligns with the other person's values, not just your own goals.
Third takeaway.
Storytelling, framing, and empathy aren't soft skills. They are powerful influence tools.
Fourth.
Digital communication demands new approaches. Think clarity, brevity, authenticity, even asynchronously.
And finally, the fifth takeaway.
Ethical influence is sustainable. It builds loyalty and a culture of accountability, not control. Okay, so what can you actually do? Your personal influence toolkit. 5 actions to take, starting now. 1.
Practice active listening. In every single conversation, seek to understand before you seek to be understood.
2. Use storytelling. Make your message clear, memorable, and inspiring.
3. Build your reputation intentionally. Be reliable, be consistent, be generous with your knowledge and support.
4. Adapt your communication. Tune into your audience's needs, their emotions. Make sure your message lands right.
And 5. Reflect regularly. How are you using your influence? And importantly, who does it serve? Keep that ethical compass calibrated.
And just as crucial, 5 things Bickerstaff warns not to do. First,
Don't confuse manipulation with influence. Ever. The trust you break is incredibly hard, maybe impossible to rebuild.
2. Don't rely only on your authority. It breeds resentment and rarely leads to lasting change.
3. Don't ignore the emotional subtext in conversations. Those cues are vital data.
4. Don't talk more than you listen. You can't influence effectively if you don't understand.
And 5. Don't expect influence overnight. It's earned, built brick by brick over time. It's an investment.
So wrapping up, this deep dive really highlights that influence and persuasion aren't some kind of magic. They're skills you can develop.
Yeah, skills rooted in trust, empathy, ethical communication, and just consistent character over time. Hopefully, the clarity and insights today feel really actionable.
Definitely. And maybe a final thought to leave you with. Bickerstaff really makes you think about legacy.
How so?
Well, in a world that's just incredibly noisy, full of competing messages, he suggests that the leaders people will truly follow, long-term, are those who influence with authenticity.
Rooted in that trust and genuine care we talked about.
Exactly. So maybe consider the lasting impact your consistent character and your ethical intent can have. It goes far beyond just getting things done today.
That's a powerful thought to end on.
And if you want to explore this further, George Bickerstaff has written more on these themes, particularly in his Lessons series. You can find links in the source material notes for this deep dive.
And as always, we'd love to hear from you. What resonated? Do you have experiences with ethical influence or maybe challenges you've faced? Let us know. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.